Hello, my lovelies, and welcome back to Sondering Tarot. If you're new here, hi, hello, welcome. We're covering my favorite cards from my 2022 deck collections. This is the Wandsuit edition, and this is the last and final part. So we're going to cover the Eight of Wands to the Ten of Wands. I did not include aces in this particular portion. Aces will be a separate video. If you've been wanting that, be on the lookout for it. I'll film it shortly, hopefully. So let's go ahead and get into this. Eight of Wands. Eight of Wands is actually a particular card in the suit of Wands that I like. However, I am not a fan of the traditional approach of the Eight of Wands. As you can see, I have only one card here that is even close to the traditional, and that's probably the Lightseer's Tarot. So we have the Lightseer's Tarot, the Myths and Legends Tarot, the Tarot at the End of the Rainbow, the Forest of Enchantment, and the Tarot of Dragons. Usually it's 8 wands just streaking across. Maybe you'll see something decorative on it, and that's about it. And I don't like that approach for the Eight of Wands. However, I have nothing against the card. It's usually a card that is about movement and messages, speed, pace. And I can read it just fine in the traditional. It's just the artwork is pretty, it's boring. I'm sorry, it's boring. I love Chris Ann's colorful approach right here, and the fact that the wands are meeting in the center rather than streaking somewhere. And you have to find out what is coming and what is going. So the perspective change on this is fabulous. And I do love the fact that you've got different chakra colors here. So it covers a lot of ground right there. The Myths and Legends Tarot. I mean, how could you not like 8 witches on broomsticks flying across the moon for a Myth and Legends that witches fly? I really love that. I love this card. It's one of my favorite cards out of the entire deck that Taylor did, called Myths and Legends. If you haven't seen it, I would go ahead and see a quick flip through if I were you, which I think I do have one on my channel. If you want to search through it, I have a playlist for tarot deck flip throughs. And the Tarot at the End of the Rainbow, I love this perspective. It's one of my favorite cards out of this deck. And here's the thing. These wands can either be shooting down towards this person or shooting away from this person. It's kind of like the subway train video that you see where it's moving. And depending on if you're left-brained or right-brained, you either see the train coming or going. And this is the thing. You can either send a message or receive a message. You can have things moving swiftly towards you or away from you. And this is what's great about this perspective of this card, is because depending on how you look at it, depends on which way it's going. So for readability, that is fabulous for me. And there's not a lot of cards that do that. The Forest of Enchantment, I love the use of the owls. Owls say messages, they say wisdom, they say knowledge, and they fly. So there is that speed aspect to it. So for an earth-based deck, this is very, very much appropriate, I feel. However, it's the 8 of spells, the 8 of wands. There is 6 owls on here, and then you have 1 owl feather and then 1 owl feather. Personally, my only nitpick is that I think I'd rather have 8 owls on here somehow rather than the 2 feathers to make up the 8. But I do love the approach with the owls. I can read this no problem, and I love it. I really do love it. The Tarot of Dragons. This is one of my favorite cards out of this deck. It is so pretty and very well illustrated. I love the sky. If you've never seen this deck, and I'm sorry if my lighting's poor, hopefully you can see that because it's fairly bright, and sadly it's a very glossy Llewellyn printed deck, so hopefully you can see that without glare. But the sky coloring is beautiful throughout this. And I do love how they styled the wands. This is one of the few decks where I do like the styling of the wands. And it's really hard not to like this card with the dragon flying and seeing the underneath, the belly side of it with these wands coming all different directions. It's pretty. As Lisa would say, it's very pretty. So props to the artist for that card, because it is fabulous. There's a lot of great artwork in that particular deck. All right, and we're going to move on to the Nine of Wands, and this isn't going to take very long because I only have one card. The Nine of Wands, or in this case, the Nine of Spears, out of the Game of Thrones deck. Okay, I have a very love-hate relationship with this card. It's the Wounded Warrior. It's usually a bandaged man who is holding onto a wand with other 8 wands beside him. It's very boring. It's very typical. A lot of decks don't deviate too much between the traditional Rider-Waite take on it or just the 9 wands in any format for a pip card. However, Game of Thrones, what they depict is what they call the Battle of the Bastards. So this is the Stark children trying to take back their home, Winterfell, from the Boltons. And there's a big battle. So, sorry for anybody who has never seen Game of Thrones, because I'm probably going to spoil a lot. They do end up getting completely surrounded. And the battle weary, they're almost losing the battle, and here comes more allies to save the day. So they do triumph, but it's with heavy loss. It's with heavy wounding. And this does speak to me to the Nine of Wands. Having battled, having succeeded, having to put up barriers, having to deal with neighbors, and those type of issues that can all fall under the Nine of Wands. I would love to have more cards in this particular number for the wand suit. However, I just don't. Now, I've got some newer decks that I bought in 2023 so far that I would love to add here, but this is only from my 2022 deck collection. Hence the 22 faves tag. So, one card, that's all you get. Pretty short, pretty sweet. And the 10 of Wands. Sadly, this is another one that really falls short for me. I do like this Witch's Tarot by Ellen again. 10 of Wands. Sorry, this is a mini deck, so actually I should probably hold it up here because it's a really small card. I do like this particular artwork for the traditional 10 of Wands. He's literally carrying wands. And one, it has a ribbon around it with heavy flowering. So there's something very important there that is probably a life purpose. But he's also got all these other wands that either have no flowering or only have 1 or 2 flowers on it. So there are really obstacles and burdens, that responsibilities that aren't that great, could probably be left behind. And he's traveling towards the castle, and you get to see it. And then we have the lovely Green Witch's Tarot right here. I love the more out in nature take on this card. And you can see the rocky uphill struggle up this path to the destination, which I'm sorry, the standing stones for Witch's Circle still reminds me of Stonehenge, even though that's not Stonehenge. But I still love the card because it's the climb. Sorry to reference Miley Cyrus song if you don't know it, but the climb. There's something to be said about that for the 10 of Wands. And since I'm not naturally drawn to this particular card, not always the biggest fan of it, to have the more nature view, nature take on it is fabulous. And the artwork is pretty. I really, really enjoy this, actually. Short but sweet. Alright, my lovelies. that's it for the entire wand suit. As I said, I did not include the Ace of Wands. That will be in a separate video with all the aces from all the suits. And whether I do the aces video or tackle another suit next will be determined later. I hope you enjoyed my little mini series for the wand suit, the 2 through 10. Let me know which cards you love, which ones you hate, and which ones you own, which ones you don't own, etc. Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you guys later. Bye.